Hello guys, Archangel here, and now that I have finished playing through Tyranny, I want to give you guys my thoughts on it after having played through the whole story. Now this is going to be a very heavy on spoilers talk, so I encourage you, if you haven't played the game yet, or if you're in the process of finishing it, don't listen to me, come back later, because I'm going to go real heavy on the spoilers. Now the reason why I'm even doing this video to begin with is because it fascinates me, my feelings towards the story and the lore of the game, because there is at the same time I really enjoy it and I really hate a lot of the stuff, and I never felt this way about an aspect of a game, or a game for that matter, because it's the feeling is so visceral in both ends. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to explain my feelings towards the story and the lore and the game as a whole that I have for Tyranny, and slowly we are going to deconstruct that and go through the motions little by little. Because like I said, this absolutely confused me, and I feel like if we go through the motions, we are going to maybe make sense of this all. Alright, so before anything, let me explain you a little aspect that I have as a gamer, that I don't know if people share it, or if many people share it, or if a few people share it, but that's how I think towards games in general. If a game has really strong points, I am totally willing to overlook and forgive bad ones. For example, I am a really big fan of story and lore games. My favorite games of all time all have, in my eyes, great story and great lore. And if I gave you a list of all my favorite games of all time, you're going to see that every single one of them have really focused on story and lore. And a lot of them have really noticeable issues. But I'm willing to overlook past those issues because I really enjoy the rest of the game. Namely speaking, the story, the characters, the world building, immersion, etc, etc. That doesn't necessarily limits itself to story and lore. If your game really does really well gameplay, I'm willing to overlook story and lore. If it does really well world building, I'm willing to overlook character development. And if it really does well a game mechanic, I'm willing to overlook enemy balance or enemy variety, etc. I don't know if a lot of people share that, but that's how I feel towards games in general. Alright, so if I had to make an analogy of this way to look at a game, it's like a game has two seas, the sea of good and the sea of bad, or, you know, the sea of what you consider good and the sea of what you consider bad. And eventually, the waves of the sea of good overwhelm the waves of the sea of bad, and you consider the game good, or vice versa. The badness of the game overwhelms the goodness of the game, and you consider, oh, that's a bad game in my eyes. But in Tyranny, in regards to the story, it's like two mighty seas with two mighty waves that keep crashing against each other. And sometimes one is winning and sometimes the other is winning, and you just don't know what to make of it, and it drives you crazy because you don't know what to tell of the story. Is it good? Is it bad? Is the lore good? Is the lore bad? What aspect of the story is good? What aspect of the story is bad? Are the decisions fucking up? Are there not enough decisions? It's just, it confuses the hell out of me. So that's why I'm doing this video. It's almost therapeutic to me to go through the motions from the start, and we are going to see where it leads us. I don't know. Well, let's start at the beginning. This will probably help everyone involved. So, if you ask me right at the start of the game, actually, if you ask me about 6 to 8 hours in the game, I would say this game is lovely. The story is amazing. The lore is so good. Let me tell you, I think the lore of this game is like one of my favorite fantasy series. I think it's one of the best fantasy series I have ever had the delight of being immersed in it. And boy do I get immersed in games. And boy did I get immersed in this game. I love the lore, I love reading about the lore, I love the Archons and Kairos and the laws of Tunon. I love that shit. So good. And I love how the story in those first 6 to 8 hours, or Act 1, It's so focused. You're in this situation, you are a fate binder, you are the law. You are there to put the Archons in line and to make the conquest work, to get the last bastion of the Tears that rebel against us. Let's get these guys, let's make these Archons work together. That's your job. And do whatever it takes so you can quench this little rebellion. So focused, so good. And for this instance, in this playthrough, I was trying for a more neutral playstyle that I really love. I generally dislike always being on one side or on other side and just stick with it through the end. So I didn't do any of the, in my conquest I didn't go full Scarlet Colors or full Disfavor. I don't like that. I like a more neutral playstyle. I like to be a lot of more human, be more like a human being on my choices, and doing many of the choices that I find reasonable, that I think either I would do in real life or my character that I'm playing as, knowing his personality that I build up, would do. So what I did with this character is, a time more neutral playstyle. I was trying to go for more of a the perfect fate binder, trying to adhere to Kairos' laws and all of that, and just bring the law and dispensing the law all around, and just making sure that these two fuckwits of Archons work together. And that's what I wanted, and that's what I was sticking to, that's what I was trying to be. And like I said before, I really am fascinated with these Archons, but I really liked and enjoy a lot the voice of Nerati, Archons of Secrets. Oh my god, he looks so cool, and he's Archons of Secrets. He's probably power hungry, probably has a lot of forbidden knowledge. If I could get on his good side, I could maybe try to deceive him, and maybe he would try to deceive me. There could be a good back and forth, one trying to backstab the other. Oh my god, it would be so cool. And maybe I could get some power for myself, because doing Kairos laws and all that, but I'm a little bit power hungry. Maybe I'll go someday try to backstab someone. Maybe I'm going to try to backstab Tunnel someday. I don't know, maybe. And maybe through some of those secrets I will get more power for myself. Because let me tell you, one thing that this game does really well is it really tickles my fancy about power fantasies. Oh my god, what if I become an Archon? What if I get my own unique power? What if I start to rise up on the hierarchy of Kairos? What if I got secrets from the Archon of Secrets? What if I learn his power? What if I could consume memories from other people? Maybe I should get on his good side, so maybe I could learn how to do that. Right? It just plays really well, the power fantasy of I'm gonna get really stronger. And let me tell you, the build your own spell system, so good, and it does wonders to help that really to really cement that fantasy of getting stronger arcane power. But then things kind of go downhill a little bit later on, after those 6 to 8 hours, when the first thing that really makes me go and makes me think things start to go downhill is when you are forced to choose between an Archon or the other. Like I told you before, I was trying to play really neutral, I was trying to uphold Kairos' laws, and many of the choices up to that point, I had an opportunity to be neutral and to try to make everyone work together and put my feet down and say, you all guys are going to work together, or I'll make you guys work together. Or Tuno will come over here and he's going to slap your ass, Mark will come over here and he's going to kill your ass. Do what Kairos wants you to do, which is to work together and kill those guys. Be a good fate binder. Yes! But after a while the game forces you to choose. With those circumstances and all that, it's understandable. The choice is understandable. It's annoying. It's annoying that there's a choice that you can literally say to them, no, I won't choose between you two. I am Kairos' will. Kairos' will wants you guys to work together, so work together. And they just say, nope, you gotta choose one of us. Fuck my life. Okay. So, even though that's not that bad, because, circumstances and, on the story they were really hating each other, there was no way they could work together. Alright, okay. So I choose one. And then all my favor with another faction goes to 0. And none of the things that I did to help them before matter. nothing that I did to help that faction love me mattered. And that was so just, that was like a stab wound to me. That was so dumb. That was very Telltale-like of them, because that's a thing on Telltale games if you never had the opportunity to play them. There's a lot of ultimatums on that game. Is that a word in English? I hope that's a word in English. There's a lot of really choices of either this guy or this guy. And if you pick one of the guys, the other guy will hate you forever. No matter what you did to that guy, no matter if you love him, no matter if you be kind to him, no matter, because that one choice was important and that one choice you didn't choose him, so he really hates you. And I didn't expect that to happen here, and that sucks so much. Because I love the Disfavor and I love the Scarlet Chorus, and I wanted them to work together, but I couldn't, so that's okay. But really lose all my favor with one of them with the Disfavor because I didn't choose them? Like everything? Alright, whatever, this kind of sucks, but it's kind of reasonable. They went to war with each other, they probably thought I was just another soldier of the other side, they didn't care more about me, they thought I was a traitor, whatever. Even if I try to be reasonable, if they don't believe a word of I did, whatever, it's kind of reasonable. But then the second thing at the end of the Act 1 happens that I didn't like, which is the introduction of the Spires, which I'm going to talk more about later on when I talk about the end of Act 2, but for now they just give you some inexplicable power, which your character doesn't seem to really know where it comes from, and we don't see any actual change in our character sheet, so whatever, apparently gives us power, but we don't use it, or I don't know. And apparently Tunon and everyone else is totally okay with us having this structure all for ourselves, which is kind of weird. And it brings me to my next issue, now that we are reaching into Act 2, which is the game opens up, which is good, but a lot of that focus that was on Act 1 is kind of gone. Like the whole introduction to the game is Tunon gives you a task, and he says, hey, Karius' will is for you to go over here and oversee these two Archons. They basically eat each other alive, oversee them, make sure the war effort is in good hands, and make sure we destroy this rebellion. And you do that. And then Tunon never calls you back again? Actually, he calls you back, and he basically says to you, hey, keep watch over the Archons, you're going to make a trial for them, and that's basically all the orders you are given. And that's basically most of the interactions that you get with Tunon on the game and on the story. Which I really think that if Tunon was more in the story, was more of a central figure and was more basically kept a tighter leash on you, his agent, I think I would enjoy the story a lot more. Because basically from this point on, the voice of Nerat calls you. I started with Scarlet Chorus, so Nerat calls me, and he's like, he's basically like, yo dude, be my bitch and do my bidding. Now go do that shit. That may or may not be legal or not. And here is where I have several issues. So let's start, shall we? Number 1. Why can't I just say to Nerat, no, fuck off, I'm a Fatebinder, did you forget that already? I report to Tunon, not you. My job was to finish the edict of suicide, or whatever it was called. The edict of everyone who dies. I finished that edict, my job is done, I report to Tunon, that's it. Why am I still a soldier to this guy? I don't know. Number 2, this sets a precedent for most of your interactions with Nerat, and I assume a lot of your interactions with the other leader as well. Because he basically is just there to tell you, go here and do this. There's no fun back and forth, there's no deceivers, there's no power plays between you two, there's no knowledge that gathering, no arcane powers. He's just there to be an arrow to your next objective. Like on the Scarlet Chorus, for example, I can even kill some chumps and form my own gang. I know it would be You know, I'm not expecting a huge gameplay system of managing your own gang or anything, but I can even, you know, establish my own little power base or anything. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm with the Scarlet Chorus if the intention was for me to be with the Scarlet Chorus, or to act like I'm with the Scarlet Chorus. Which is another thing, which is, it's not very clear, or at least it wasn't for me, if you are supposed to be a double agent. Tunum kind of tells you that, but he doesn't enforce because you don't see him through the whole game. He's there if you want to talk to him and ask about law and shit, but he doesn't actually really talks about what you're doing, what you should be doing. And he never seems to care if your action seems to transgress Kairos' laws or his bidding, because, and leading me to number 3, a lot of the actions that the voices on the rat tells you to do are transgressions on Kairos' laws, and you are a Fatebinder, and you have no option of saying or reporting to Tunum to say, hey, he is transgressing on Kairos' laws right now, he is trying to use me to do things that are against the law. There's no options, or there isn't even options to refuse and say, no, I won't go to the old walls because the old walls are off limits. You can't go there. And I'm a guilty two-shoes fucking Fatebinder, goddammit. That's the thing that actually happened on my playthrough, where I accidentally, when I was on Lefian's Crossing, I believe it was the name of the place, I accidentally entered the old walls, and I was just like, I'm on the old walls, and I just instantly got out of the instance, and I actually quick loaded one of my earlier quick saves, so I wouldn't damage the reputation of my character if someone happens to be watching. No, I never go to the old walls, I never broke Kairos' laws. That's how immersed I was on the fucking game. But yeah, you can tell now why I'm getting a little bit of frustration towards this. I have no opportunity to talk with the Nerat to learn more about his secrets or his story, or learn arcane powers or get more powerful like him. I can't be a good Fatebinder. I'm Nerat's bitch. I'm the Scarlet Chorus whore. I'm just there to do their bidding. Tunum doesn't care about me. Why should I care about him? Even though I'm still trying to uphold Kairos' laws. And eventually we get to the end of chapter 2. And in the end of chapter 2, we cast an edict. Oh dear. Remember when I said that this world that Obsidian build gave a lot of room to power fantasy? Well, it feels like we just jumped a lot of power positions on the power hierarchy of this world. We went from a literal nobody, a Fatebinder with some power of his own, alright. But you know, a literal nobody, an insect by comparison to a lot of the characters that we meet on this game, to, in a matter of a blink of an eye, an Archon serial killer caster of edicts guy. And that saddens me. In the game it's actually conjectured that the power of the Archons comes from their own reputations, that people's adoration or fear of them is actually what gives them these amazingly unique powers. There's a lot of room for really interesting and compelling character growth over there that we won't ever get to see because we got our powers from a fucking MacGuffin. We just happened to stumble upon the device that lets us cast edicts. And there you go, the power isn't even ours. We didn't earn that power. What's even the point? We found the power, and the power is there, and there's even an option in the dialogue of saying, I don't know if this power is mine or if it's using me. It's really weird because they opted to make this a very standard storytelling of the hero facing challenges, overcoming them, and eventually winning against all odds, but the hero's journey doesn't have that much impact if the power that the hero used to win wasn't his to begin with. So we jump from being a nobody on the radar of anyone, and then suddenly we cast edicts, and Kairos tells us to either kill all the other Archons, or to pledge alliance to them, or to make them pledge alliance to us, or to die trying. And that includes Tunum, which I thought was really weird, because Tunum is basically Kairos' judge. He's the guy who makes Kairos' laws. And Kairos is willing to put Tuno on the line of fire for what reason exactly? Why is Tuno even a factual? Like, it just boggles my mind. Like, I don't understand why. And I know that a lot of Kairos' motivations are kept on the dark, but still, Tuno doesn't feel like there is anything to do with this. And it feels like the only one who's got anything to lose with Tuno's death is Kairos himself, or herself, or whatever. Anyways, now we are in Act 3, and Act 3, from what I can gather, differs a little bit based on what you are aiming to do and with whom you are aligning yourself with. So I want to talk a little bit about things from my point of view, since I try to go ally myself with Tuno. And boy, let me be real honest with you guys, I have some big problems with Tuno and how he was handled in this act. So alright, Tuno calls me and off I go to answer his call. Finally Tuno, the guy that I wanted more of in this game, is finally calling me to do some shit. Great start. And then I go to him and he puts me on trial. Okay, I can handle this. I got a lot of points in Deception and I can basically talk more out of it. I'm sure that we are okay. And then Tuno just starts listing every time that you trespass on Kairos' laws. Yeah, remember those times that I was talking to you guys about how I wish I could adhere to Kairos' laws and how I wish I could refuse to do some things and the game wouldn't let me? Well, the game just now comes back and throws all those things in my face. It's just like, why did you do this, huh? Why did you adhere to Kairos' laws, huh? And I want the game to have a physical form, for a physical form human to manifest for the game, so I can hold its little throat and say to it in a tender voice, because you wouldn't let me, game. Do you understand that, game? You wouldn't let me. I wanted to adhere to Kairos' laws, but you wouldn't let me, game. Why wouldn't you let me before, game? I would have done these things if you would just let me, game. So why did you let me, game? Fuck! So that was I think that was probably like the worst point of the game for me. Like when at the end of Act 2 when we cast the Edict, and I saw a lot of the potential for power growth and how basically the pacing was kind of rushed, at least in my eyes. I saw a lot of that potential kind of being lost. But now right now it just feels like a slap in the face. But it doesn't end there! No sirree, no, it doesn't end there! If you manage to persuade Tuno, he actually, that badass, that everything from the game up to this point make us believe that he was a stern badass who only cares for Kairos' laws. He cracks, and he cracks so easily, so abruptly, and so over the top that I thought the game had become a comedy for a second. Like, I literally couldn't believe what I was watching, because they took all that precious time that they built a character and they just threw the fucking window. Basically what I'm trying to say, if you have experienced that scene, is that Tuno kind of goes out like a bitch. I think that's the best way to put it. He cracks so easily and he swears loyalty to you if you just talk to him for a little bit. Fuck all those years of being faithful to Kairos. We hear through him, through some other characters, about just how much devotion he has for Kairos. But that evaporates, and there's nothing else to talk about it. It's just gone, and I stood there dumbfounded about what I was watching. So yeah, those two things kind of destroyed the character of Tuno for me, which was one of I most enjoyed. And I would have loved if instead of having a direct confrontation with Uno, you could just say, hey, I'm swearing my fealty back to you, I'm swearing my allegiance back to you, I was your Faithbinder before, and that hasn't changed, I am still now, I still serve Delau, I still serve you, I still serve Kairos. I think that would be really cool if that was an option. But nope. So after that, we go out, and we hunt the rest of the Archons. And we return to the Spires, we cast a final edict, and the game ends alluding to a sequel. Which then again makes me wonder, if you were trying to build a sequel, then maybe you could have spaced out a little more some of these events. Like being able to cast a edict might be something for the sequel. Maybe on this one first game we see only enough, we managed to get just enough power to be a little bit of a challenge to an Archon. Again, I feel like the pacing with the power was completely off. In one moment we were basically a normal guy, in the other moment we were casting edicts and killing Archons. Let's put things in perspective, okay? Let's think back. Act 1, we were just a Faithbinder sent to handle a dispute between Archons. Act 2, we keep dealing with the aftermath of that first act, the whole war between the Archons. And at the end of Act 2, we managed to cast an edict and we are sent to kill all these Archons. Up until that moment, we were basically a normal human being. And there was no build-up of power during the story. Sure, there were mechanics, level up, find the new items, all that RPG goodness. But in the story, it doesn't feel like we were progressing in power. We just found this MacGuffin. Oh, it has a special connection with us. Okay, that doesn't mean anything and doesn't affect us anything. Oh, now it affects us. It now allows us to cast an edict. Like it's a huge jump. Just this jump in power and how a lot of the sense of scale is diminished. And more importantly, this power that you earn doesn't feel like you have actually earned it. And also, speaking of the moment as of itself, you don't even get a choice. You don't even get a choice to say, no, I don't want to cast this edit. It needs you to cast the edit to progress. And especially for my character, and I assume a lot of yours, I don't think they are as dumb as to just announce to the world that they can cast edicts as if it was nothing. If I were to conclude my thoughts on Tyranny's story, it feels like a game with a great background and a solid foundation and a great backbone of lore that ends up getting fucked up by its story, especially towards the later parts. Now I know I've been criticizing it a lot and being a lot harsh, but I need to reiterate, there's a lot of shit on this game that I really like and that deserves credit. Like I said before, that first 6 to 8 hours is amazing. And I would recommend to everyone who likes RPGs to take a look at it and see if it's your kind of game. And hell, just by the fact that I'm speaking for how many minutes now, 25 plus, like Jesus, this was supposed to be a 5 to 10 minute video. Just the fact that I'm talking so much about it shows how much invested I was and am in this game, in this world. And hell, a lot of this experience was based on the character that I was trying to play. So maybe if you were trying to play a different character, you weren't running into so many frustrating things as I would have. Or maybe you didn't consider them frustrating at all. So that's why I would love to hear what you guys think about Tyranny and its story. I would love to create a nice little space for discussion of the story and the lore and the characters and its elements, and how did you enjoy it or you didn't enjoy it. I would love for you to put your thoughts on the comments below. Anyways guys, thank you so much for listening, and if I may indulge in a little bit more of your time, since I mentioned telltale storytelling earlier, I'm gonna post right here the video where I discuss a little bit about it. Also, if you're interested, I do Let's Plays on this channel. We are quickly approaching the end of our Let's Play of Bastion, our first blind Let's Play of Bastion, and I've been enjoying the hell out of that game, so check that out if you want to. Anyway, watch them or not, thank you so much for listening, for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye, guys.